There was a certain sort of magic in classic Halo you just can't find anywhere else. The game franchise that would launch Microsoft into the gaming empire it became and making Bungie world famous. You've probably already heard of the story, so I'm not going to bore you half to death with the details of how Bungie started as a small startup, originally making their name with Macintosh, creating a little-known game called Marathon. Or how the original Halo Combat Evolved wasn't originally designed as the iconic first-person shooter we know them for today, but a real-time strategy game like that of Command & Conquer, or Halo Wars, like would be developed later by a third-party studio. Hello, all you amazing people. My name is Kingjakyl, and I'm going to tell you why I believe classic Halo could never truly die. What's the first thing you think of when you launch Halo? Is it the campaign? Or is it the multiplayer? Is it the fun times you and your friends had in your living room, playing split screen on that dinosaur CRT television? Or maybe it was exploring the Halo ring for the very first time. Or it was taking the fight to the Covenant. Or maybe running in terror of the Flood. Or maybe it was the first time you watched Rooster Teeth in their amazing Machinima series Red vs. Blue. Whatever the reason, you begged your parents for it. Or you saved up enough scratch at your job to buy it for yourself. All to take your first steps into the amazing action space opera that was early Halo games. Halo's multiplayer will always have a very soft spot in my heart. I remember the very first time I ever played it. Went over to my cousin's house for a Christmas party one year, and my cousin told me that there was this insane game I just had to play. He loaded his Xbox 360 and booted Halo 3, and loaded me, himself, and a close friend of ours into a match on Guardian. I got my butt kicked, but I love the visuals, and the strongly satisfying gameplay loop that I knew, then on, I was hooked. I didn't touch Halo for at least a year, as when I was growing up, you were kind of always in that one console household. And my parents, they bought a PlayStation 2 instead of the Xbox. That's all I had for a little while. But once my grandfather had gotten a computer set up, I quickly found a place to get Halo on the PC. At that time, the PC only had 2 titles you could choose from. You either had Halo Combat Evolved / Custom Edition, or you had Halo 2 Vista. Both of which I sank many hours to and many sleepless school nights. All because I wanted to learn. All because I wanted to get better. I did eventually come around and play both the campaigns, and I immediately fell in love with the story. The fight for the Halo rings, the fight against the Flood. I didn't really care for the Arbiter at the time, but I eventually came around. And it wasn't until 2020 when I'd finally finished the fight. Halo Master Chief Collection had come to the PC,
bringing with it Halos 1 / Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo 4. There was a small problem, though, with MCC coming to PC. I mean, aside from the fact that it took 343 about that long to fix all the problems that realistically plagued MCC from launch, like the matchmaking issues to where you couldn't find games for hours on end. They took the time to make sure that MCC launched well enough on PC to gain a good traction and a good audience. So, you might be asking at this point, what's the whole point, right? What's the secret sauce that gives the special magic to Halo, especially classic Halo, for what it is? And in my opinion, it's the simplicity of gameplay. It's the easy to learn yet hard to master game mechanics that keep the game so alive and so lively, but makes you want to continue to return time after time after time. You have a standardized sandbox in each title, all containing multiple different weapons within multiple different niches, while still keeping a lot of the same classics from the original, but changing it up from game to game. The original game launched with probably the fewest weapon choices and surprised the world when it was one of the only game titles that made a pistol, and yes, I said pistol, the best weapon choice in the game, period. Launching the now infamous meta that comes with Halo and most Bungie titles, which is the precision meta. Bungie would later explore this in Halo 2 with the battle rifle. Now, what particular thing or trait made the battle rifle so special? Was it the fact that it was originally designed to be a semi-automatic at first? A lot of like how the DMR was in Halo Reach. Or was it the fact that it just clicked? It was just right. And strangely, a burst weapon. When most weapons at the time, in terms of choice, was either semi-automatic, like what we had with the classic Halo pistol, or it was fully automatic, like what we had with the assault rifle. But what I honestly think made it so special was realistically how much it carried the entirety of Halo 2. And for the simple fact that Halo 2's multiplayer, being held together by duct tape, spit, hopes, and dreams, was honestly broken and came upon an interesting meta for that game, which was the button combos. One of the most infamous being the BXR. Mash, again, that particular combo in order where you would go in for a melee, reload, cancel, and then shoot. Essentially, quickly putting down an opponent. If you could master such a button combo, you were going to win most engagements in most Halo 2 matchups. And creating, honestly, some of the most insane gameplay that you could run into for any Halo title at that time. Which is why Halo 2 is probably the most beloved title out of all the Halo games. Had, honestly, some of the most laid back, yet competitive multiplayer experiences you've had for quite a while. Which is why Halo 3 scaled back in terms of the competitive nature of Halo. It made it more of an everyman title while still keeping true. Unlike what Halo 4 did when 343 took over, where they just flat out copied Call of Duty, and instead of keeping the natural flow and natural laws of things, you could literally just spawn with whatever weapon you wanted, and you weren't at the mercy of the sandbox. Let's talk about that sandbox for a moment, shall we? The simplicity of it, and how it all realistically works. You have a few core elements. You have the map that you're playing on and how the map flows, how the map plays, where your positions need to be, where the power positions are, how your communication is between you and your teammates, whether or not there's actually communication at all, or whether or not you're playing in, your 2v2, your 4v4, or you're playing big team battle, which is an 8v8 mode, where you have a variety of weapons along the map as well as vehicles that you have access to for big team battle. Or in 4v4/2v2, you just have your basic weapons. Now, those weapons, you'll usually start with what are known as loadout weapons, where normally between however you wind up spawning, whether it be with an assault rifle and a pistol, like in Combat Evolved, or you spawn with a battle rifle and assault rifle like in Halos 2 and Halo 3. Heck, even in Halo 2 and 3, you could still spawn with an assault rifle or with an SMG while still being comboed with a pistol of some sorts. Really depends on what you are playing, and really depends on how you want to react. Now, along in that sandbox, you also had a variety of power weapons. You had weapons along the lines like that of the classic Needler, which up until about Halo 3 was honestly kind of mid. Then you have the rocket launcher, which is an absolute map defining powerhouse and game winning strategy to go and grab. Or you have the sniper rifle, which is a long-range domination tool that, in the right hands, can flip a match on its head. Or maybe you like to play close quarters and use the energy sword, which first debuted in Halo 2 as a pick-up usable weapon, or in Halo 3. Or maybe you're not playing either of those two titles and you still want to dominate close range. You pick up a shotgun, which was a staple in every Halo title moving forward. There was always a shotgun. Mind you, some people would argue that it got weaker and weaker as time moved on. But I'd argue, as the sandbox evolved, the shotgun evolved to match with it. Now, you didn't just have weapons and vehicles that you had to choose from, you also had armor abilities / power-ups. And in classic Halo titles, you had 2 basic power-ups that were worth it in any regard to go and pick up. And honestly, you were kind of at a loss if you just chose not to pick it up. Or it was a really bad time if the enemy team picked it up and you were having to fight against it. Those 2 power-ups I'm talking about are Overshield and Camo. How Overshield works is it essentially doubles your shield, making you more durable and allowing you to keep into a fight a lot longer. Whereas Camo is for the super sneaky. Pop it, and you weren't seen. And you could change an entire match just by going into that stealth mode. Mind you, you weren't entirely invisible. You had a little bit of a shimmer, so that, for people that were paying really close attention, they could still see you. But at longer distances, you were a harder target to spot, which allowed you to make some rather insane plays. Another thing to cover for Halo is the fact that at its core, Halo is a social experience that comes with a player-first mentality. The classic Halo titles were designed to be a party game first. The idea was focused on having fun in a sandbox and connecting with others in matchmaking. You had a large amount of options, and the game simply never told the player no. The sandbox always encouraged the player to try new and wacky solutions to rather simple problems. Going up against one guy that's destroying you and your teammates, simply grab a power-up and gain a better advantage in a one-on-one fight. Need to capture a flag on a big team battle map? Grab a Warthog, a couple of your buddies, and run across the map to go grab the flag. You also had a guns always up approach to movement. You won't find sprint here. You simply don't need it. You can easily traverse the map just by walking and jumping to wherever you need to go. Needed to go any further than that? Just grab a vehicle, a couple of your friends, and you're set. The whole sandbox is at your disposal. Do with it as you please. Your in-game performance is solely reliant on your personal skill. Halo will never hold your hand and will always challenge you to become a better and better player. And the best part about all of that is, while learning on becoming a better player, it's a very easy game to pick up and learn. It's an easy game for those coming into the fold that are trying to learn the basics, but it also has a very steep learning curve on the higher end for those that are looking to actually get into the game and learn some new and powerful skills. There's so much for a new player to learn, like shot placement, or shot pacing, and the flow of a fight. It's like a ballet of destruction where one element flows into another, and before you know it, you're slaying out. The game also has a lot of teamwork elements to it, and encourages social interaction. The game has what's known as fair starts. Everyone starts with the same weapons. The only thing separating you from your opponent is your skill and your strategy. You want an advantage? It's on the map for you to go pick up. Power weapons are usually put in high traffic areas, so there's an equal opportunity for everyone to grab them. Power-ups are usually off the beaten path and forces the player to go out there and grab them. While reaction time matters, the way the health and shield system works, your reaction time isn't always required to win every fight. You get more rewarded for precision and accuracy rather than how quickly you pull the trigger. Even with all the technical skills that are needed, the game is very welcoming to newcomers. I know that on the outside, it doesn't look that way, and I know some people that have tried the game and just didn't enjoy it. That's fine.
And yes, your first few games might be a slog and very difficult, again attributed to that learning curve I was talking about, but if you are willing to put in the effort, I'm sure you'll love it just like I do. These games are available to be played right now on the Master Chief Collection. You're only waiting for either a new Spartan or saying Haley to join the game. Could you be that player? In short, these games are beloved titles that have earned themselves a lot of praise. These older titles had a lot of flair to them that was unmatched at the time and can't be replicated today. These games are more than deserving of your time and more than deserving of being in the spotlight once again. Want to stop missing all of my uploads? Just subscribe. It only takes a couple of seconds. Consider leaving a like down below as well. Thank you all so very much for watching. You guys are awesome. Have yourself a good rest of your day.